I'm stuck at 11.
It's Friday. Do you know where your IT pros are? We don't. It's Patch and Switch. And now, two guys who have ctrl-alt-deleted right into the new year. Here they are, Patch and Switch.
The three-finger salute. Gotta love it.
What?
The three-finger salute.
Right, so
Control-delete.
Have you guys read chat? Have you seen the chaos that is chat before the show begins?
It's fallen into
Costco.
discussion on Costco, I think. I don't know. Has it?
Yeah, so apparently TRP 8472 is leaving his post and heading to Costco. His Costco, listen, this is an issue, and I'm bringing this up because I think we all need to protest. His Costco is not doing hot dogs and drinks currently. That's like going to IKEA without meatballs.
Yes.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's just wrong. Is this like officially like corporate policy or something, or is this one store that's like bucking the trend for what's going on?
I don't know. We've got to get to the bottom of this. But then our guest, we have a guest on today's program. Mr. Richard Campbell has joined us. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, hello, friends.
So our guest pipes up in the chat and he says, he says, I always find a child passed out on a pallet when I visit Costco. Look, dear, they sell children here.
You usually get a parent looking up very sharply at that moment.
I wonder why.
But then people start talking about samples.
Yeah.
And no, they don't offer samples of children. I don't know who I need to tell, but you
Staying on
don't
the
do this.
toothpick, right? That's the problem.
Welcome to 2022. Hey.
Yes, Happy New Year, everyone.
I tried to get them to start doing samples of adult beverages, but it was not offered. It's just not acceptable apparently to have beer available in sample form. So,
Well,
yeah,
not every Costco actually sells alcohol.
Right.
Yeah. They
No,
don't, and they, of course,
true.
don't sell alcohol at all in the Canadian Costco's.
Right.
That's against the rule. State controls alcohol around here.
In
Like,
New York, Connecticut, and Maine, if I remember correctly, Maine as well, they actually have a separate liquor store just at the front of the Costco.
oh, there you go.
A liquor store.
In Ontario, same thing. I've got a friend of mine who's now of age son will go and buy like an 80 can pack of Coors Light or something ridiculous like that.
That'll get you kicked out.
First of all, I'm morally offended about the fact that he's paying liquor prices for water.
Yeah.
But
Bad
on top
water.
of that, it's Coors Light.
At least get Molson's. If you're going to have bad beer.
I didn't think Molson was available in Canada. I thought that was only an export.
we definitely have an export version where we dilute it a bit because it's a bit strong for most people.
Yeah.
This is really the conversation in chat about Costco has been it's been a little bit crazy, but it's okay. There's nothing new there. Okay, so there's also another version. We were talking because chat had us a conversation pre-show. There's a version of Costco which is known as Costco Business, right? This is for and a lot of restaurants use Costco Business.
Which is this is where this company came from, right? Like it used to be supplies for business. It wasn't a retail outlet.
Right. Now at Costco Business you can get food, you can get tobacco. This is what's crazy. They have this locked up area where they wholesale or close to wholesale tobacco. It's like this chain linked area. But then one of the things that I noticed,
chain link, chain fence, chain smoking. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, chain. Yes, exactly. One of the things that I noticed is, so at the normal Costco, if they don't have the hot dogs, you can buy the hot dogs and you can buy the buns, right? You can take it home and make it yourself. But have you seen these chicken bakes they have? I don't know if they have those over in the UK's, but they have them here. Yeah. You can actually buy a box of the chicken bakes and take it home.
Those chicken bakes are seriously good, man. I love those.
Are they?
Those are my go-to as opposed to the hot dogs. Personally, on the option. In Canada, at least in the one in Ottawa, you could also get, besides hot dogs, you could also get poutine, which was not bad, not great, but it was a Costco-sized poutine from the full food area that you have next to the
you
fields.
like roll in and you can get fries with gravy?
Fries and gravy, and then walk around the store with that inside of your cart, looking at if you need to buy a 700-pound bag of mayonnaise or something like that.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
Exactly. You know what I need? I need another gallon of olive oil. If I can't get a gallon of olive oil in my life.
I find this conversation ironic a little bit because I just watched Super Troopers the other night again.
So is poutine a thing that's no longer there? I was going to say, because this is magic of Canada Costco that I've not experienced.
But, the shopping experiences in Canada are slightly different than they are here in the States. I wasn't scared to go to Walmart when I was in Canada, but down here, it's another whole experience that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, but some of us are terrified to walk into Canadian Tire, okay?
Well,
you should be afraid of Canadian Tire.
You might be accosted by Plaid or something. Like what?
They have their own money. What is that about?
They have their own money.
I guess the Americans are concerned that they might be considered part of a criminal scheme of counterfeit or something because they're being passed all this money as change. It's just not right.
Well, last I heard that they were going to be offering a crypto offering, right? The Canadian Tire cryptocurrency.
Oh my God, I got to go start that.
Called crypto, eh?
Go to cryptoa.com.
.ca. Come on, get it right. It's got to be .ca.
Oh yeah, sorry. .ca. We're 7 minutes into the show. We've completely lost. We lost control of the show before it even started because of chat.
Oh yeah,
out of control.
The
last time
folks
I saw you guys was .NET Conf. I actually came down. The border was open. But we still required testing. So, people weren't going back and forth. There was a brief interval where they didn't require testing. Now they require testing again. What I didn't tell you is the day I was going to go back and I got my tests done and so forth and was ready to head back, I got the Trader Joe's shopping order from all of my friends. There are no Trader Joe's in Canada. And so, you're down there? Here's the list. I had to go to 3 different Trader Joe's to get all the stuff.
Yeah,
working my way north from one Trader Joe's to the next. Although the Kirkland one is very nice.
Did they let you across the border with all that stuff?
Oh yeah, it's not real food, man. They don't care. You bring an apple, you're in big trouble, right?
That's right.
Yeah, bring an apple or a steak,
whatever.
Don't even talk about maple syrup. If they find the fake stuff that's made out of corn syrup, they instantly impound your car for a full search.
Yeah.
Let's say hello to all of our friends who have joined us in chat. The aforementioned TRP 8472 has completely derailed the show. Foul Temper in the PDX is here. Let's see, who else do we have in chat? We've got Crush Networks. Good morning. Scrolling down, Rich Campbell, of course, who's here in the flesh. Also in chat. I saw some other folks here. This Johnny Chips with a Z is here. We can't compete. Rick, your LEDs cannot compete with Johnny Chips with a Z setup.
No, I know.
Oh God, yeah.
Vizio MVP is in the house, as well as Absablog and Lootly. PowerShell Dev is here. That's saying the boys are back in town. We're back after a little break for the holidays. Crush Network's asking, did anyone go to CES in Vegas?
No.
No, apparently.
No. Lots of empty space, apparently.
Yeah.
We got the fairest of Brits.
Did anybody catch that? So I watched the NVIDIA CES presentation. Did anybody catch any? Was there anything in the CES thing that made anybody's headlines?
The only one that made me stop in my tracks and stare for a while was the webcam-equipped baby stroller. Because parents can't be bothered to actually look at their kid anymore, so they're just going to put a camera facing the kid.
And what they're pushing the pram and they're looking at the kid on their social page.
Exactly.
Or something?
Well, there's also a forward-facing camera too. So apparently they've got AI technology now. It's part of the cloud service for your baby stroller to figure out what your child is reacting to most strongly out in the world.
Oh,
to
nice.
the child sees. So you got the camera view forward, and you got the camera view of the child, so you can see when the child reacts to something. Clearly, not the parent.
Well, obviously now we have to find one of those feeds and react to it on Twitch so we can get banned for a couple days.
Well, that's what all the cool kids do.
Hey, listen, if we haven't been banned, we're not good on Twitch, I guess, is kind of that's absolute craziness to me. I mean, it wouldn't have surprised me if they had backup cameras on a stroller, right? They're necessary, right? To react, to film the reaction of your kid, that's next level.
I needed hazard lights on my stroller.
You need hazard lights in general.
Yeah.
No, you don't understand. Like our listeners potentially would remember or know, if they follow me at all, that I have twin girls. We used to call them the Terror Twins when they were younger, because they would gang up on us when they were smaller and stronger than me. But the stroller that we had was, our friends used to call it the Porsche of strollers, because it was very, very nice. It was a double wide, but as you did the slightest push of pressure on either direction, the wheels would turn, like the new electric Hummer does, how it can like crawl sideways. So it was an amazing maneuverable stroller. Wasn't all that great in the snow in Canada, so a couple of months of the year we had trouble using it, but it was so big it literally just fit with millimeters to spare. And for you people that use Freedom units, it's like fractions of an inch. I don't know what that is, but millimeters to spare on either side of most doors. And so we'd approach the small shop that we were going towards. Someone there without kids would like hold the door and then like, nah, you're not going to fit in here. It's like, no, we're good. Off we go. But like I said, sort of just like how a semi truck has those driving lights to be able to kind of denote how large it is, I needed those on that stroller. It was a beautiful creation.
I'm curious, in Canada, do they require your winter tires on your strollers as well?
No,
Chains.
Just chains and or spikes. You can get studded tires if you need them.
Okay. All right.
I mean, for us, for CES, the thing that we'd care about would be that the new gigantic, like 59-inch curved monitor from Samsung.
Oh, yeah.
Which they're trying to convince you to use in portrait mode.
What?
Oh yeah, no, it's like I'm looking at my monitor.
What? If your website is large enough that it needs to be on a portrait mode 59-inch monitor, it's
no, but my inbox does.
Well, true. I got a kick out of the screenshot I saw a little while ago with Tay, Swift on Security, where he's got like 3 49-inch wide monitors stacked on top of each other, and an Excel spreadsheet open across all 3. Like, I am the master.
This is my IP routing map.
IP
The other one that caught my attention was, TP-Link, the networking guys, are making a Wi-Fi router where the antennas are articulated. They have motors in them so they can optimize their angles based on the signals they're getting from devices.
Interesting.
I mean,
it's a little spooky.
It almost makes sense. The idea that you could actually have in motion antennas to sort of make sure you get the best signals to every device wherever they may be. Because these days, especially the consumer Wi-Fi routers, like they look like spiders. They got 8 antennas on them, right? You're like, where do I put these antennas? The idea is like, don't worry, we'll put them where they need to be.
I'm scared to buy that Asus one. Literally looks like it's some kind of an insect on your wall with these massive antennas sticking out of it.
Yeah, you're good until it starts moving on its own.
Yeah. Suddenly flips over and walks away.
Exactly. Hey, so we've entered a new year, a new season of the Patch and Switch program. I have no idea how many seasons have actually existed. We might know if Rick ever posts the backdated episodes of the show.
167, perhaps? Is that it?
Shows that we've done.
Shows that we've done.
Richard's just over there laughing at us because he's done like 4,000 versions of Run As.
What's that?
4,000.
He did have a head start on us, right? Run As has been around for quite a while. So
because starting an IT podcast in the Vista era seemed like a good idea.
Well,
Yeah,
so
I know,
was
right?
releasing Vista, but
Yeah. So we do have. I don't even know what season do you want to call this? Because is this season 10? Like how far? Like we have to literally
I
go
was going
back
to go
in
with
time.
season of your discontent, but I think it's more a season of a malcontent.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, we were in building 40 on the 6th floor. I'm talking to Joey right now. Maybe we
Yeah.
were discussing the origins of patch and switch. Like, what year would that have been? Because the
I
first
thought we
year-
were still in. I thought we were still in 18.
26. It wasn't 18. It was 26.
Oh, 26.
Like
Yeah.
I joined and we were in building 26, and then we moved to building 40.
No, you guys moved to building 9. This all really started
we
in
went-
building 9.
No, it's the
Well, that's where the
discussions
studio was. That's where the studio was.
Yeah. The discussions were in building 40 on the 6th floor.
Okay, because you guys were
so-
doing it in the conference rooms in building 9.
Yeah,
Early
I tweeted a photo about this because 2 days ago, the 12th of January, was the day that I landed 10 years ago with my family in the middle of the night. And then 8 days later, Snowmageddon 2010 arrived. So I've been here 10 years. So it's at least, I would say, 8 years we've been doing this.
8 or
9
9.
years?
Yeah, 8 or 9. We'd have to go back and look. I think we've got something somewhere that says when. I don't. Yeah, who knows?
Where's the official archivist of Patch and Switch?
Actually, that makes sense because that was in the last couple of years. I was at the radiology practice. Was when you guys started. And I used to listen to episodes from my office in the radiology, and they were like, "Who are you listening to?"
Yeah. So there has to be a .NET Rocks archivist that does your historical stuff. Richard, is this someone we can hire to be able to do some research?
You know, it help if you just organized and put everything in the same place. It kind of archives itself.
You said organized.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I'll admit, I think we're 1,800 episodes in on .NET Rocks. There are some missing shows.
Oh yeah.
Just we've moved infrastructure a few times, and not everything's made it.
Big hello to Polar Knights, new follower, new viewer says, "Sweet Jesus, it's the perfect evolution of beards." You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Oh my goodness.
This could be season 8. Could be no. It's probably more likely season 9.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Okay, so I will publish last season on audio only downloads. I've been saying this now for about a month or more.
No, a year.
I'm one step closer. So now the question is going to become, do I release all the episodes all at once?
Oh, of course.
Or do I trickle them out?
No, just put them out.
Just put them out?
Rick,
Yeah,
if you
just-
try and trickle,
We could
you'll
make this into
forget.
some kind of a social campaign or something. Maybe we could have a patch and switch Wordle or something where you get a new episode if you score so much.
No, I think we'd get sued for that.
Well, yeah.
Just putting
There's
it out
already
there.
a curse wordle as it is.
True.
Oh my goodness.
True. So as I was before we we just keep getting distracted.
Yeah, I know,
there's any other. Yeah.
Richard's good at that.
Yeah, exactly. So we're in a new year. How was your holiday? How was your break? Let's start with our guest, Mr. Campbell. How was your holiday break, sir?
I mean, we got an epic amount of snow up here, as you guys did too, which is unusual. It's been 10 plus years since we've had snow over Christmas. But I'm also at the point in life where my children live on their own, right? So this was the full empty nester Christmas where we didn't have to host anything this year. We went to their places. And but of course, the pandemic tamped things down, so no big gatherings. So we kind of saw everybody individually and kind of minimized exposure, so to speak. But it's a pretty peaceful. I'm not unhappy with the empty nester style Christmas. That was not bad.
Yeah, very, very nice, very chill. Mr. Claus, how was your? I mean, come on, last name of Claus, you have to go Christmas all out, right?
Yeah, so we do Christmas all out. It's just native that we have to do this. It's like there's no virtualization going on. This is on bare metal. We're doing Christmas. It is the way that we do it.
There is no hybrid.
Yeah, and on top of the fact, again, if you don't know, my son was born on Christmas Day, December 25th. Wow. His last name is Claus, and as I like to say, is my corny joke. That was the only year that I got a Mac for Christmas, because his name is Mackenzie. So he's now in his 20s, which is nice, or just turned 20. So as tradition, he gets to pick what meal that we have on Christmas Eve and on Christmas Day. And the thing that he picked on Christmas Eve was something apparently that's trendy nowadays with all the youngins, which is a charcuterie board. So we got a variety of cheeses and dried meats and fruits and arranged them to be able to make a charcuterie board.
You know what charcuterie is?
Oh, fancy meat.
Yeah, well, charcuterie is essentially Lunchables for adults.
That is good.
Yeah.
I like that.
So
like that.
we all grew up with Lunchables. I'll bet Mac grew up with Lunchables. It's an adult version of Lunchables.
I like that.
More quints in our version, but you know.
We also had Scrooge show up in our Christmas holidays, just from the perspective of it was inevitable. It was going to happen at some point in time. We had a positive COVID case in the house.
Oh.
So one of the kids had to be isolated. And at first, said individual was upset about being isolated, but then she realized that she could have instant access to DoorDash internal by simply texting her want to us, and then it would arrive on the table outside of her room at any time of day or night, and it was free. So that was much appreciated. Luckily, is again very minimal, all boosted and vaxxed on the house. It was more of a trying to figure out as a parent how the heck to deal with this kind of crap. But it was a little bit of a challenge, but all made it through. And I'm one of those folks that still has the Christmas tree up. Not because we're celebrating still, it's because I'm too freaking lazy to take the damn thing down. So I think I might tackle it this weekend. Haven't decided yet.
So I believe that officially Europe, and well, in particular, the eastern part of Europe goes at least until I believe it's the 8th?
The 6th, Epiphany.
Yeah.
Is it the 6th? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think Russia goes to the 8th, I think.
Well, they're still on the Gregorian calendar, so they can do their own thing.
That's true. They can do whatever they want. Yeah,
it's not
absolutely.
even Christmas yet.
Ours was down. Well, the tree was the last thing that went down, but most of our Christmas was down 2 days after, which is that's not. I'm not a big fan of that. I like to at least go to the New Year, but I don't control these things. That is way outside of my pay grade.
You don't have a say.
Nope.
As I often say, sometimes you're outnumbered 1-to-1.
Sometimes, all the time. Chris, that works. We used to have a Christmas tree up too. My daughter comes home on Tuesday from Portugal. Haven't seen her in 19 months. Second Christmas. That is, nice. If there is a reason, that's a reason. That is 100% a reason. I also dealt with a holiday COVID Christmas.
McScrooge.
As my youngest got her COVID positive. We wouldn't have really known had she not had to be tested because of the damn boy. We're not going to talk about that. I'm a girl dad, right? So boys evil, right? Right? You know exactly what I'm saying, right? Totally, so again, we did the same thing. The DoorDash
internal 100%.
DoorDash. Yep, absolutely. Yep. It's happy that can I have whatever you need. Brought up the Xbox and helped her set it up over FaceTime.
Oh, nice,
awesome.
Yep.
Nice.
So that Minecraft could be done. So, it was just weird. But that's the only way I can explain it. It was Christmas for year one of COVID, which was 2020, right?
Yep.
That was different.
It was
this
novel.
Christmas was just weird.
Yeah.
It was novel. Yeah. This was just weird. It was just weird because of the, COVID and having to be separate, but things are kind of the same. And but we did
definitely. The weight of Omicron is oh no, not again.
Yeah. Absolutely. We did take advantage of some of these cool features that came out because of COVID, and one is particular group watching on the various streaming services.
Oh yeah.
Big fan. I'm a big fan. So we've started binging the Marvel series, at least up until the end of Avengers, right? So I think we're on phase 4 now. I think there's 6 phases.
30-something movies. Did you really do them all in order?
My daughter did.
Yeah, a lot of movies.
It is. It was 1 or 2 a night.
27 movies.
Yeah. 1 or 2 a night. We've still not fully completed it. We're still working on it. But I do have to say the watch with feature is pretty cool. Because we could have it on down here, and then my daughter would watch it up in her room on her devices, and afterwards we could have chats and conversations about it. So it was quite good. It was quite good.
My son and I did The Matrix from beginning to end, 1, 2, 3 to be able to see 4. Still, I very much believe number 2 shouldn't even have been made. Like, what's the point? 3 at least had some level of closure, but then 4 was there, kind of interesting. And we also did we started to do, though we stopped just because of scheduling of things starting back up again. The Beatles, Get Back.
Oh, yeah.
That's is that the Peter Jackson one?
Yeah,
that's the one where they're basically eating a lot of toast. Apparently the Beatles eat a lot of toast, and that was what they were eating, was just toast and then beer. And they were in the studios for weeks leading up to the concert. It's kind of strange.
So my question was, there was like 60 hours of footage that they shot back then, and Jackson has it all. Did he upscale it all and then edit it together? Because I mean, the thing that's important about Get Back is that it looks great, but it's because there's been a lot of technology applied to it. It was shot on 60 millimeter film.
Yeah,
right? It was not great. So they've done all this work to it. I wonder if he upscaled it all, or if he did go through the raw stuff, figure out what was important, only upscale that, and then edit it together.
And he's also being criticized, or at least mentioned, that he's obviously done some very good, or his own choice of editorial view on the stuff that happened as well.
Well, inevitably, right? It's that, or you watch the whole 60 hours.
Very true. So it's been sounding great watching it. It's been awesome to watch it.
Well,
and I got to
watching
continue.
Paul McCartney write "Let It Be," that's what gets you. Is you're seeing the guy. Pieces of the song appear over time, bit by bit. It's extraordinary.
Yeah.
And it's almost a fugue state when he's doing it too. Like, it's kind of freaky.
One of the things that I like to do around the holidays is I'll go back and listen to some interviews, particularly. So I've mentioned this on the show before. I'm very fond of how Howard Stern interviews people, right? Some of the other nonsense that's on the show is that it is what it is, but he's a great interviewer. He actually did an interview with Paul McCartney, and it was being replayed one day that I was running several errands around town, and so I had a chance to listen to it. So Paul McCartney's released a new book, and what this book is, I believe it's all of the lyrics from the Beatles songs, or maybe it's all the songs that he's written, and unlike, he didn't do the Paul McCartney biography. What it is here's the songs and here are the stories behind writing the songs.
Right.
And that's his biography. So it's not the, I did this and then this happened with, John, but it's all of the songs, that he's written in, just what was happening at the time, and just listening to him talk about some of these things. And I think they only covered maybe 5 songs over the course of a multi-hour interview with McCartney, but it was super interesting. I kind of gained a little fun perspective of McCartney. He did the induction of the Foo Fighters. For the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I caught this because the Go-Go's were just inducted. It's about damn time. And so I was there. I'm a huge fan of the Go-Go's. So I was there watching. I don't know if I brought this up on the show, but he kind of did this bit with Dave Grohl. And where he kind of talked about, he's like, so, I was in a band. It was called the Beatles. And then, of course, Cheers. And Dave was in this band called Nirvana. And then there was a tragedy. And so I had to go solo, and I did my whole first album solo by myself and played all the instruments. And then Dave Grohl went solo and played all the instruments on this. And then I created a band called Wings, a second band, and Dave Grohl created Foo Fighters. Are you stalking me? and when he said that, I was like, there's a lot of parallels.
Yeah, it's spooky.
That's like, I don't know that, and I'm not the biggest Foo Fighters fan. I mean, I think Dave Grohl's like immensely talented.
Yeah.
I do enjoy watching some of the documentaries he's done, right? He's done on some old studios and old mixing boards, and as they're creating albums very similar to kind of what's happening with Abbey Road, right? So yeah, anyway, that rat hole, I went down that kind of rat hole because of the Stern interviews, right? Just I want to pick, maybe I should pick up that book, but then I'm never going to read it. So yeah. It's okay. We've rat holed down that. How did we get? Oh, because you're talking about Peter Jackson. Right? Yeah, you're talking about the Beatles. Yeah, the holidays. Yeah,
I got to say, as I got to say, as my wife used to say when I traveled, coming back from being away for a couple of weeks to come back into the family unit, she said, re-entry's a bitch. Same kind of thing with work, like re-entry's a bitch. The first week back, so I came back on January 3rd. The first week back was just basically processing stuff, and trying to meet with people, but no one's around. So, kind of getting some stuff done. Now, second work week back, I think I'm back in the groove of things. So I think I'm back on top of the game and good to go, but it's taking me about a week to go. I don't know about you.
I just came back Monday.
Oh, yeah?
So yeah, reentry is a thing for sure. It is a struggle. It is a struggle. We come right out of coming back into a business review. So our bi-monthly business review. I had meetings scheduled with all of the partners that I work with to get updates and insights so that I have it for my review. And all but one have been canceled because they all have COVID.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah,
so
I had booked a bunch of stuff that didn't get done before Christmas, like the first week after New Year's, and every one of those things rescheduled. Like, none of the things I had planned for the first week of January happened.
Yep.
Yeah. Are we getting to the point now that the first week of January is kind of an extended version of what happens through December now? Is it just that the holidays just kind of extended a little bit for folks?
Yeah, although you're busy, like you're trying to pick pieces up, but it's like
right.
Anything that can be pushed back, you push it.
Yeah.
I want to give a call out to PowerShell Dev. Mentioned the book is called The Lyrics by Paul McCartney. Covered all lyrics from 1956 to present. So there you go.
Nice.
A lot.
Available at booksellers near you, I'm sure. Hashtag not promoted, but would be more than willing to take money for doing that.
Sponsored, not sponsored.
Sponsored, not sponsored.
I will call out to people that are in the chat, if you're joining us here on Twitch, that you obviously can go, or if you didn't know, you can participate in the show, obviously by chatting, but then also by simply hitting and recommending and nominating words that we're going to use to name the next show.
Like this one was Ctrl-alt-delete.
You got it, Ctrl-alt-delete. And so all you have to do is do a bang or a exclamation mark word, and then the word that you want to use. And then at the end, we will go through and choose random words for the next random show name. I don't, Jared, can they see and vote for different ones too, or is that something they have to actually go to a website and?
Yeah, they would go to patchandswitch.showbot.tv.
There you go. In case you want to see the words that are in the running that are there,
and they can vote for them too.
I just thought I'd bring that up as like a housekeeping note. I don't think we've ever mentioned that before. We have a bot that tells people in the chat.
That's a good call out. Our friend the Guar comes in and says, I've moved back into working education, sitting at about a 30% absent rate due to COVID after 8 days back to school. We're in temporary virtual world.
Yeah.
In our world. Yeah, again, absolutely. Yeah. So that's, kind of back, but not back. Yeah, so it's just trying to get back into the normal swing of things. Now, my question to you, gentlemen, when you come back from a break, whether it be a few weeks or month, I take a month off in December, do you just go through and say every email from December 1st until January, whatever day you go back, and you select it all and throw it in a folder? Do you delete it? Do you read it? What do you do?
You declare email bankruptcy, just purge. Now, I'm a plower. I get through them all. And, triage quickly into what's important, what isn't, what's repeats of stuff. Make sure you consolidate conversations and get it nailed down. My inbox is, I'm a zero inbox guy.
I am definitely not a zero inbox guy, but I do plow through them as well, for the most part. And then see, for me, on fiscal year, I will go in and do Control A for all messages and put them in a subfolder called FY21, FY22 for fiscal year, whatever. If I'm at that state, I'm tempted to declare bankruptcy now just because I'm pretty far behind on my numbers. I'm not behind on unreads, on reds. It's only the unreads that are simply down below. And really, if it's below the horizon of my monitor, it's probably not that important. I should just kind of ignore it. But yeah, I don't know. Like, what do you do per se?
See, ever since search became good in Outlook, I've stopped managing my inbox. I am IT's worst nightmare because my Exchange box is probably massive. Just because I just don't. If I think I need it, it stays there and doesn't get filed unless there's a few things that get filed away. You know, things related to expenses or something that I know I have to have in a separate folder. But other than that, it stays there and I search for it. And then I have done 2 purges in my career at Microsoft, both when I've changed jobs.
Yeah. I think PowerShell Dev mentioned the Scott Hanselman recommendation that he's got, which is, keep me on the 2 line that goes in my inbox. If I'm on CC line, move it to a folder, and I'll get to it eventually if I want to. As one way of managing this stuff. A funny story in that one there. A peer of mine in the job I'm in right now, he did that particular thing, but he made it into a folder that was, called CC. And at some point in time, it wasn't working for him for how he was expecting it to work. And so he just deleted the folder thinking that everything would be fine. And then he realized that he was missing a whole crap ton of mail about 3 months later that he's like, well, who's talking about this? What's going on? Well, the ID of the folder is still alive, therefore the rule still followed and ran and was moving all his CC messages to the deleted items in the folder that was inside the deleted items.
Awesome.
So that's an oopsie.
Yeah, if you're going to delete the folder, make sure you delete the rule.
Yeah, make sure you delete the rule, or at least delete the folder so you don't have to worry about that. So yeah, I think I might take your advice after this message, after this call, and maybe go back a couple months and just say, move to a subfolder. Again, I don't like to delete stuff, and then make it so I can manage my inbox. I aspire to be an inbox zero, but you know what? Over the holidays, I did like everyone's been trying to tell me to do for years, and I've been telling my team to do for years, which is don't open up freaking email. Don't open up your freaking Teams. Take your time off, disconnect, and just do it. So that's why I had an overabundance. So that 1 week back of the trial week got me through a lot of the stuff and something to be processed, which was good.
Val Temper in the PDX says our mail retention has trained me not to delete. It just goes away automatically.
Nice.
Yeah.
Those compliance policies you put inside of Exchange to be able to say any mails older than X number of years.
Yeah, Johnny Chips with a Z has a PST of all of his job's emails since 1998.
Ouch.
Wow.
That's a retention nightmare. I posted this in the chat. I'm using Power Automate. My inbox never gets over about 100 a day, maybe.
And what are you doing with the Power Automate for that?
How's that different
than rules?
It's different than rules because I can actually sort when I'm on call. It changes how I sort than when I'm not on call. Can't do that with Outlook rules. So.
Interesting.
The question is if you got to the point of using Power Automate to just simply reply to emails.
Yeah.
Not going to talk about that now.
Not on Twitch.
Not much of your job has been replaced by a bot that you wrote.
Nice.
We're a whopping 38 minutes into the show. We should probably get started, huh?
Yeah. What the heck? Nice intro.
We're started. We're good, aren't we? We're good.
The show has segments. It has
there's a plan.
It has a structure.
Are we having like segment music now with the new season? Is this something we got to research?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. We're lucky we have audio at all.
I do want to file the change control ticket for Steve, the audio guy, on how and when to play the appropriate music.
No, I think just the fact that we're here on Twitch. That's the step forward.
Up.
I mean, eventually, someday, maybe somebody would actually want to sponsor the show, and we'd have to do what Richard says. It says, "Hang on," and then read some sponsor read. But we're not to that level yet.
You know from watching this also be made, I don't read anything at the time. I just make the break. The ad gets inserted later.
That's right. It's all pre-done. But so first segment is from the trenches, the things that we're doing from our day jobs, and I think we kind of covered this because Rick and I are just back. Rich, what's been going on with you in the day job?
20th anniversary of .NET's coming up.
Ooh,
so
wow.
Scheduling a few sort of the long-termer shows, so folks like Anders Halsberg and things to kind of let's talk about the last 20 years and what that looks like. I am trying to get a state of the book of the history of .NET good enough that I could at least put up an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter so people can pre-order, because it's not done. Like writing history books, man, is hard work. But yeah, that's really what's been weighing on my mind more than anything. And we've got the spring show for Dev Intersection is in April this year in Vegas. So it's early. So we're racing to get all the content done and get enough of a show up there. And it's tough to talk about doing an in-person event in April in the middle of Omicron.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, Omicron will end. The UK's already peaked. New York's telling their numbers are back down. Like, it will end. It'll certainly end before April. But that doesn't mean you could talk to a speaker today about, hey, I really want you to do this and this at the show. They're like, are you kidding? I haven't even looked up from my office.
Right. So is this show, is it purely a dev show? I mean, I know at one point you had kind of both there. We've got all the sequel content as well. Although I mean, the whole point of Intersection is to cross folks over. So run as we do the sequel Q&A shows from the conference. This particular last one that we did in December, the number of devs in the sequel Q&A asking very different kinds of questions. Bob Ward, who's one of the principal architects for sequel, who's always been involved with this, that Q&A show, there's 2 a year for a decade now. It's required listening for the SQL team because it's literally real SQL Server customers asking real questions. And there's kind of a story arc about how the education and understanding of the product has evolved. And so we had this big conversation because a bunch of developers were in the room and they're like, listen, like, we're trying to do this better. And we're struggling with this point or that point. Like, it was really a very cool conversation. So yeah, there's a strong data component. We're now the M365 content has been mixed in as well, and that intersecting point has been very interesting because now you're seeing the Power Automate, Power Apps folks also looking at how devs approach things, how backend services are working. Like that's all my favorite stuff. If there's anything that I've done as a sort of consultant and an advisor to different companies, it's to help various parts of teams understand the other teams complexly. Like, my job would always, when you do one of those kind of gatherings, is to have them coming out going, hey, you know what? Your job's hard. Because all these jobs are hard. That's why they're jobs. And we do the show the same way. It's like, talking to people about what they're working on, but also making sure that other people can see that so that we have a bit more understanding. And so I'm trying to cross as many of these different groups as possible. How is this new, I shouldn't say new, but the push now around security, right? Because every single day we're turning on the news and seeing something or another. Is that starting to make its way into the show, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's dominating the conversation on Run As, like to the nth degree. It's certainly a topic in the conference as well, but I wouldn't say we're a security show. There's way better security shows.
Well, no, of course it's but I mean, it's interesting because as you talked about last year, you had a whole bunch of developers coming in and asking the SQL folks questions because they're developing on this platform, right? And they're like, we need these things. So the reason behind my question is, do you see now, oh, hey, we got to ask some of these other folks about this security stuff because now we have to start caring about it more than we did before because of all these other things.
Yeah, I'm not getting huge traction on the dev side for security content. I think they still see it as an IT problem. Yep. And certainly in the IT world, we have more controls. I think the log4j incident, and nobody throws stones here because we've all had this problem, talking about IT being aware of a software bill of materials. Like, answer the question, how many of our internal applications are dependent on this vulnerable version of this library? And are we routinely recording that in a place where you can answer that question quickly and know, turn these apps off. You don't have to turn everything off. Turn these apps off while we deal with the issue, getting patches in and so forth. And that's an interesting level of granularity. That's a new. I had Jess Dodson on the first show of the year.
We love Jess.
This DevSecOps conversation about who can answer this question, how do we respond to this effectively, and accept that these are the realities we're going to contend with and need to be able to respond to them effectively.
Well, I mean, I challenge anyone just to look at the .NET runtimes you have on your individual PC.
Yeah. Well, we're still having this conversation of, do you have an inventory of the apps that exist in your organization?
Well, of course. And then what, we take that one step forward. I mean, I spent 18 months just talking about how are apps authenticating. So you need that inventory, but then how are they authenticated? Can you turn off legacy authentication, right? Do you know? And organizations they don't. I mean, it's kind of like the only way to find out is to turn it off and listen who screams.
We're still doing scream testing, right? Like that's sort of the reality. I have a show in the can about the end of standalone IE11 and talking about doing discovery of IE dependencies, which there are some solutions for. But in the end, it's an awful lot of scream testing where it's like, okay, I'm going to pick a group of folks. I'm going to disable their access to IE inside via group policy and listen for the sounds.
Yep. And then, as you're mentioning, for dependencies on DLLs and stuff like that, it gets even more complicated when we're moving into the more modern world of containers, where the different pieces from the different containers come into play, unless you've got a very strict policy that says you can only use your only internal approved container registry to be able to go off and pull those containers from a dev perspective. So
you do need to know where your bits are coming from. And then the other aspect of this is we're getting more precise with our networking. Like the Log4j vulnerability involved having access to ports you probably should have had access to in the first place.
Right.
Why were they listening on the Genie ports? Turn that stuff. Why was that there in the first place? So this idea that we start shaping traffic per app and saying this is our expected, manifest of communication, and outside of this, go away. Which we haven't done. By default, generally you can talk any way you want. We do more blacklisting than whitelisting in networking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, 100%. Fuel Schlabel says, very disappointing that devs are not as concerned with security vulnerabilities.
Been disappointed about that for decades. But, is it the only thing I could say that's getting better is that working in the cloud forces us down a zero trust path. Like you can't. It's very hard to resist that. And so devs are finding that there's no way around that.
Fuel Schlabel says people don't know because nobody's interested about a software bill of materials until there's a problem. Yeah. Then it's your problem.
And so, I mean, for better or worse, I'm riding that chain of now that you all are suddenly aware you couldn't answer that question. Have you thought about this? Because it's an automatable piece of work, right? This should be part of a deployment pipeline. Is that while you're doing that, you're checking in a list of the libraries that you're using and their version numbers into some registry so that you can quickly search on it.
The problem that you get, though, is a lot of development teams don't put in a version number of the library. They just take whatever the current is, and then you don't know what's in that library as it goes further down. That's been one of the problems I know for Log4j. I will say, though, I actually had one development team that actually used a security vulnerability in .NET at one point, so they didn't have to actually fix a problem. They just use a security hole, and then 1 month when the security hole got fixed, they're like, okay, well now we have to develop. They literally kicked the can down the road because they didn't want to do the work.
Well, deadlines are hard.
Yep.
It's very interesting because you mentioned zero trust, and I encourage folks if you haven't. So zero trust it's become a buzzword, which is a little unfortunate, right? Because it's become a marketing thing. But if you go and have a look at the NIST guidelines around zero trust. It makes complete sense. It was written by somebody who there's a lot of policy stuff in there, and wishful thinking, like all of these things, are just like us, reviewing the logs every time we log in the morning, making sure that we don't have a problem. We all do that, right? But the thing about it is, it's got the framework that helps with these problems ahead of time, and where you have these things, you talk about the network side, right? Mm-hmm. And shutting these things down, and you put these protections in so that if something like what happened with Log4j sneaks through, that you're able to start mitigating before you go back and do this analysis, right? Because it's one thing to start collecting the build of materials for the next new app that gets deployed tomorrow. It's another thing to go back to the 600 applications that have been deployed since before I got hired.
No, I like your optimism. It's only 600, but yes.
Well, I was thinking more of the SMB space, right? I haven't gone enterprise yet, right? Nice. So, but it's a good guardrail to start having that conversation, or to start having that thinking, because one of the things, and I think we talked about this just as the year was ending, and Rick and I we met for a couple of beers over the break, and the question that I keep asking is, where's the easy button for somebody that runs a small business that helps protect? Maybe so I run my wife's IT, obviously I'm an IT person, but I don't even have that easy button. She's got M365. She's got every potential security product available to her because I get it for her. Where's the easy button for me to configure this stuff and make sure that she's protected? So when these things come out, I know immediately that you're okay.
Yeah.
And that doesn't exist today.
Well, I would argue in general, and we've had this conversation a few times. We lost small business server. Now, small business server is more than 10 years old. But the idea of here is a place for small business, like that doesn't exist in M365. There's not a cozy place for a 30-seat business. Fast Track doesn't start till 150 seats. Like, taking care of small business has not come up to the level that it existed in those old days of SBS and EBS in the M365 space yet. I presume it will one of these days, but it just hasn't.
Well, but here's the thing: the capabilities are there, and so Dave says zero trust is being pushed. My Microsoft cybersecurity partners, big time, passwordless zero trust. They've all been saying this for 2 years, and we built a lot of these capabilities. And I can talk about this because I sit in one of the product teams, and we build around this stuff, right? So passwordless is designed to be consumed by anyone. We just haven't necessarily made it super simple to get it configured until recently. We've got some things. There's some new wizards that go out there to enable conditional access to make sure your admins have to multi-factor and to turn off legacy auth and to do some of these things. I think you're 100% dead on. We haven't done a great job at creating this.
You know what made SBS work? It wasn't that it was a great product. It was a good product. It was that it could be a living for an IT pro. If you wanted to live in small SBS land, I used to interview these people back in the day. That's the upside of doing run ads for 15 flipping years. They would have a dozen clients. Right? And they work from home. Sometimes they go on-prem, but they're remotely taking care of the details of a small business, a 20, 30-seat business using SBS or EBS. We should be there with an M365 offering like that, which is exactly what you want. That no one of those companies can afford that full-time person, but that full-time person could be reading all of the information coming in from Microsoft, which most people can't do because it is a job, and then deploying it out to their dozen or so customers via an M365 offering. But
they can't. But this is the problem with the layers of complexity that we've gotten to just through the nature of IT.
Yeah.
Listen, dude. You and I, we all try to stay on top of I can't stay on top of things within my own product.
Sure.
And that is one component of 6 that sits inside of M365.
Yep.
right?
That's why that's why you guys have to have a team. Like I got a team of 8 people that do this stuff for me now.
Sure, that's great, but yeah, and I didn't mean to kind of go down on a rat hole kind of thing here. I think it's a good conversation to have because listening to your episode with Jess now. So listen, I'm a huge fan of Jess, and she knows this. And
She's awesome.
Yeah, she's just amazing. I've been a fan of hers since before she joined Microsoft. The things that we talk about, like, it's really hard for all of us in IT just to keep breathing, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh no, you're in the pounding surf most of the time.
And so when are you going to be able to step back and read these things to go? It's hard because you're dealing with this fire and that fire and this, that, and the other app. I think what I was suggesting here, have a look at this. Have a read through Zero Trust Foundation. There's a great book on Zero Trust that's out there. Jerry Chapman, who works for a partner Optiv, wrote a book on Zero Trust. Is really, really, really good. Just have a look. Even just reading the NIST guidelines just helps set those guardrails and that foundation to start thinking about the things that you can do, and then you have to start approaching that to kind of protect about these other pieces. And I think that was just a long way for me to kind of talk about, hey, look, you're right. Developers aren't talking about this. They probably should. No. But if it's an IT thing, we need to start putting up these guardrails. And then the next question always comes up to, well, then how? And where am I going to find the time? And then how deep do I go?
What are the toolings? What do we make?
Exactly. And those are all things that you can address. But if you start at least that fundamental thing, you talked about the network. Did really anybody was worried about those ports? Probably not.
No. And you're right, because we're also battling the cycles. What we're really waiting for is better automation, around, can I monitor what traffic's going in and out of any given app and then say, okay, well, that's the baseline. Turn off everything else for me, please. Flip that to a whitelisted app. And that tooling seems to be coming. Like I keep getting smells of it from various, conversations going on that would be great. The funny thing about being an IT person in this day and age is you're starting to get a sense of that's going to be a product in 6 months. So I'm not going to worry about that because 6 months from now, that will be a button that I can press to improve it. So I'm going to go work on the other thing that just got its button and start locking that part down. I would say MFAs become table stakes now. And it's like the vaccine. It's not perfect, but it puts you high enough up on the bar that an awful lot of problems go away. And it's becoming harder and harder to justify not just turning it on and not SMS based MFA.
Yeah, it's got to be app based. Yeah.
Yeah. Do the authenticator, do FIDO keys, like whatever makes you happy. Yep. And I again, one of the messages I've been hitting over again on the show is go after your leadership, because
their pretty faces and email addresses are all over the public website.
Yeah, they're the ones being business email compromised in the first place, and they are asking you to make the system secure. It's like, yes, but I must inconvenience you as well. Not that it's going to be that inconvenient. Look, the modern Microsoft Authenticator is pretty painless. It's less painless. It's less painful than an SMS. To literally have Authenticator pop up and say, "You want me to proceed?" You go, "Yep." Right. I don't even have to unlock the bloody phone anymore. Like, that's pretty good.
Well, we're giving more and more information too, right? You start to see, oh, look, what is the app? What is the location? Like, yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah.
But if you'll never, get the pushback for me in the politics of security inside of an organization, if leadership won't do this, well, how do I ask the masses to? My IT guys are definitely going to do it because we're targeted too. And in fact, I want to go an extra step with them. Like I want I want everybody on board with password managers. I'm starting to do more FIDO key stuff. Like I've spent 3 years with FIDO keys now. They're still not great. No, but they're not unbearable. Right? It's a little bit of friction. It's not a tremendous amount. And for an expert, like you should be able to do this. I don't think I'd put a FIDO key in the hands of a CEO. I mean, it'll either be set on fire or lost in seconds, right? Mm-hmm. But MFA is not optional.
When we are like really running out of time, but that's
say, gentlemen. let's go. Like,
well, so I want to just put out this question, and you don't have to address it now, and maybe it's just something that we can continue to. I mean, we'll always have you on, Rich, and have this conversation. But I think the one thing is, the question in my mind is now, what do you do for IT professionals that typically went, security is for the super smart white hat hacker, and it's not for me? Where do you go to start? Oh, crap. Now I actually have to bother with this stuff, because it's not just about some dude in a black hoodie, hacking the Gibson, right?
Yeah.
This is these vulnerabilities that you have to care about this stuff now, where before we could hide a little bit behind the protections of a firewall or behind the protections of my four walls, right? And you can't do that now.
Yeah. And also stop using friendly terms like hackers. Criminals are pursuing you. You are a profit resource for them.
yep.
You put locks on the doors for a reason. So, I'm just trying to suck the air out of making any of this fun, fluffy, or technical. This is basic defense of a company that's being attacked.
I think the important thing, though, is that you don't need to be the uber security person who knows all and is all in order to start protection, right? It's we all can install a deadbolt on a door.
Yeah. No, and you really can make password managers not suck. And you can set up Authenticator. It's not that hard. You were able to set up iFart on your phone. You can handle Authenticator.
And with that, we've come to the end of another episode of the Patch and Switch program. Listen, you think I'm not going to take that segue of talking about iFart to end the show?
No,
you are wrong,
someone
friends.
clipped that for sure, I think.
You are wrong. Big special thanks to our guest, Rich Campbell. You can find him as the host of Run As Radio and .NET Rocks. Head over to runasradio.com. Would love to have you back, of course, and we can talk more about this week of Rat Hole for Ages. It's just
we can. We do.
Yes.
Exactly. Big Happy New Year to all of our listeners. Thanks to About W, Absolblog, and Lootly A10. Chuck Kroll in the house. Good to see you, sir. Crazy 24 hours a day. Crush Network, StepCon veteran. Elysian, the fairest of Brits. Foul Temper in the PDX. Phil Schnabel. Can't Sit. Jan. Johnny Chips with a Z. Chaos. Kate McFerrin. Kowski. KT Baker 77. Leah Strom. Manny Wilkins. The PowerShell Dev. The Shadiest of Pandas. Spike Trap Claire. War. TRP 8472, Gorgo Pros and Vizio MVP, along with Tiz Cloud. Thank you so very much. We're back in 2 weeks' time. Until then, have a weekend, everybody.
I think that went well.
iFart. I love iFart.
You like my clothes, do you? Okay.
Yeah.
If you think